Tonight, Parliament set for a showdown over approval of two nominees of President Akufo-Addo to the Supreme Court, as all 7 NDC MPs on the Appointments Committee vote against the two, while the MPP colleagues voted in favor.
I want to put it to you that as a sponsor of the bill, the Ghanaian Family Values Bill, I think you will be a danger when you get onto the bench.
I vehemently reject that view.
The NDC minority said they were taking a decision to be against the nominees.
We have details as the Attorney General's office weigh in on the raging controversy over the qualification of the nominees. And tonight, Parliament is set for a showdown over 2 persons nominated by President Akufo-Addo to the Supreme Court. We join News Learning. The NDC MPs on the Appointments Committee have voted unanimously to reject their nomination. Now, it follows a chaotic vetting of the nominees yesterday. All 7 NDC MPs on the Appointments Committee voted against approving Professor Richard Frimpong and Justice Rosetta Essa, while the NPP MPs present voted to approve the nominees. This means the committee cannot make a recommendation on whether to approve or reject the nominees, and the plenary itself will have to take that decision. On Tuesday, even before the substantive vetting, the NDC raised an objection insisting the president was acting unconstitutionally with the mode of appointment. Listen to Mahama Yarega raising the issues just before the committee started its work.
That even if you are adding one to the 10, is that okay? It should be backed by law. Either a constitutional instrument or an act of parliament. That is all that I have said. And as for when it suits, it has never suited me to obstruct somebody from becoming a Supreme Court judge. Is that okay? But our duty here as gatekeepers of our Constitution is to do our job without fear or favor. There are people that have been presented here that I like. I've read their writings, I've read their judgments. I mean, I know their family members. Some of them went to school with schools that I went to, and I know that by virtue of the schools they went to, they are competent and etc. But because I went to those same schools, I also know that I have a duty to my Constitution, and I must interpret it properly. And if anybody is a president and I'm to guide that person, I will show the person how to do the work properly. So please, we are not here doing partisan work. I said every president that I have known since the number was increased beyond 10 has violated this, and we parliamentarians have condoned it by allowing it to pass without ever questioning it.
I want to take you to Parliament now. I want to bring in my parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, who's been following this for us and gathering a bit more intelligence around the voting that went on and what really this will mean for the 2 nominees. And Kweku, how exactly did the majority side respond to these claims by the minority, where we just heard there from Mahama Yarega, which really has set the tone for the voting that we've seen now, leaving the 2 sides split in the middle?
Well, Evans, as will be expected, the majority did come in forcefully. We did hear from Frank Onodompe, Majority Chief Whip, a member of the committee, Mr. Abdallah, the ranking on the Judiciary Committee. They were forceful in the opinion that the points that have been raised by the minority through Mahama Yarega were simply baseless. But then we heard from the vice chair of the committee, who did make a substantive ruling on the preliminary objection, ruling that the claims made by Muhammad and the NDC were completely meritless.
The chair should overrule the preliminary objection with reasoned arguments and proceed with the vetting process, ensuring Parliament's constitutional duties are fulfilled without undue interference. In any event, the respected Boko Central MP did not initially move a motion. He raised an issue asking that it be captured in the report of the House for subsequent consideration. Thus, he cannot subsequently seek to transform his preliminary observation into a motion demanding a vote at the committee level. If members want to move a competent motion, there are proper and competent ways of doing that. In any event, no rule relied upon to argue the supposed motion by the honorable member. If he still feels so strongly about this right, the right forum will be the plenary. This committee has no power to entertain a motion aimed at stopping proceedings. For emphasis, I rule that preliminary objection is hereby dismissed as same is without merit. Thank you very much.
And quickly, we then heard that this ruling may have been plagiarized.
Yes, that is the allegation that the minority did make at the committee level. In fact, prior to this, the tension at the committee were going through the roof. And when this ruling was read, things started degenerating. Just about 5 minutes after, the minority chief whip, Kwame Govin Sagboja, held in his hands some documents he said he had seen on Facebook. And mind you, this particular ruling from Madame Patricia Piaget, the vice chair of the committee, was read just around 1 o'clock p.m. And at that particular point, a Facebook post with the same content belonging to a popular Facebook journalist, Richard Delasky of CTFM, had the same content and was on his Facebook page. In fact, they were part of Richard Delasky's post that said the chairman should make a ruling, and Madame Patricia Piaget did seem to be reading the same thing. And according to the minority, that was plagiarism. Listen to Kwame Govin Sagboja.
To raise a very serious issue. The ruling you read, I just noticed that this ruling was posted on a Facebook page of a known journalist an hour ago. And I can tender this for the sake of the protection of the person. It will be extremely damning that the ruling you have given did not come from you, because you remember I made a comment that within the short period that we left here, you were able to, in fact, you were with us even in the room after a point in time, you were able to put together this very comprehensive rule. I can read out what is on the social media page of the journalist if you want me to. Do you want me to read it? This is unacceptable. This is scandalous. Unacceptable. A serious committee of parliament, and you read something to us that is supposed to be coming from you. I feel scandalized.
Until you put the motion to a vote, there will be no vetting. And if you want to disrespect the rules of parliament, and members of this committee, well, let's do it. But we are not going to throw the rules of parliament away. There's a motion on the floor. No. And we are going to vote on that motion.
No rule.
That doesn't have a right. You bring the goodness into order.
And how did the chair respond to this?
Well, the chairman, the vice chair, Patricia Piaget, did not respond specifically to the allegations made against her. She still insisted that the preliminary objection had been actually rejected, and then the vetting had to start. In fact, the minority would not allow that up until some time. The majority leader himself came in calm tempers, try to speak to all sides, and he really brought the master stroke to calm things at the committee and get the committee to sit. Then we started hearing from Madam Benasco, a justice of the Court of Appeal, the first nominee to have been heard, who was in fact sitting there for almost 4 hours when the MPs were fighting among themselves over that preliminary objection. She spoke about her judicial philosophy and what she brought to the table.
Now, there were other issues that came up. The committee later vetted Professor Richard Opon from Pontu. He's accused by the NDC of being pro-LGBTQ+, and they insist he must renounce his Canadian citizenship.
Well, yes, it appeared this is something that the NDC had been preparing for. When the first nominee was vetted, a number of the sponsors from the minority side on the LGBTQ bill were not there. But when it was time to vet Professor Opon, Roxy Nelson, the FMFO, came in, armed with a number of documents. And Professor Opon is a renowned academic, had written a number of articles. And he had written an article that the property rights of same-sex marriages contracted outside the country, which are brought into Ghana, must be respected. This is something that the minority objected to, saying it meant if he got onto the Supreme Court and the decision had to be taken on the anti-LGBTQ bill, he, the Professor of Opon, will side with those seeking to cast the bill into the dustbin.
I want to put it to you that as a sponsor of the bill, the Ghanaian Family Values Bill, I think you will be a danger when you get onto the bench in terms of our anti-LGBT activities.
I think I vehemently reject that view, that if I get to the Supreme Court, I'll be a danger to anything that you're talking about. As I said, I have clearly explained the subject matter that I wrote about. I have indicated the caveats that we put in it, in the paper. I have clearly indicated that if you approve me as a justice of the Supreme Court, my responsibility is to apply the laws of Ghana. And I clearly indicated to you what the law of Ghana is, or once the bill is ascended, what the law of Ghana will be. The responsibility of a judge is to apply the law, not to espouse any views through their judgment. That to me will be wrong, will be totally wrong use of the judicial role. So I think that is where I will stop.
What is the motivation to be a citizen of two countries? Are you not satisfied to be a Ghanaian? Why do you want to take up another citizenship of another country?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I certainly am very happy with my Ghanaian citizenship. I have no problem with that. But usually when you travel and you want very good job opportunities, preference is given to citizens. So for example, in Canada, if you want a really good job, you have to be either a citizen or a permanent resident. And to take advantage of those opportunities, to the extent that you qualify for it, I know a lot of Ghanaians who are also citizens of Canada for that purpose.
So, Kweku, clearly the stage was set for a split decision on this matter, like people voting along partisan lines, and you picked up that information that exactly that's what transpired when it came down to voting at the committee level, whether to approve, get a consensus position on whether or not to recommend to the plenary for these two to be considered and approved by the entire House.
Well, yes, Evans. Ordinarily, the appointment committee is made up of 15 members, 8 members on the majority side, 8 members on the minority side. But Joseph Osei, who chairs the committee, we understand, has been out of the country for some time now. So it was 7-7 on each side. All 7 NDC MPs voted to reject the 2 nominees, and all 7 NPP MPs voted to approve them, which means it's a split decision. And as far as I can recollect, it's hardly been an appointment committee report where it's a split decision. It's normally either a consensus vote or by majority decision. But because of the absence of Joseph Osei, who in fact the majority insisted that per the standing orders should be allowed to vote via telephone conference, via Zoom or via WhatsApp call, but was rejected. And so at this point, it's going to be a split decision. The decision will now go to the plenary. Members of Parliament would have to decide through a secret vote whether Justice Frimpong Opon and Justice Professor Frimpong Opon, I should say, and Justice Rosetta Issa Benasco must head to the Supreme Court or not. And
there have been some reactions from the committee already post this a split decision at that level?
Yes, I spoke to Governor Kwame Abuja, the minority chief whip. I spoke to the majority leader as well, and they've been expressing their own different view as to what exactly transpired at the committee, although they all come to the same conclusion that it's a split decision.
7 of our colleagues from my colleagues voted against the nominees, and then 7 of colleagues from the majority side voted for. So it's a draw, 7-7. We take the decision on the floor.
On both nominees?
Yes.
As far as we are concerned, the motion is not.
Mr. Speaker,
as far as we are concerned, the motion is not.
You know that a committee meeting will conclude by taking a vote. 7 people from our side voted against them, the nominees. 7 people from the majority voted for it. We take the decision at plenary. It's as simple as that.
The committee normally makes its recommendation, and we know that the 15-member committee, the chair of the committee, for some good reason, is out of the jurisdiction. The NDC minority said they were taking a decision en bloc to be against the nominees. Our side took a decision en bloc to be in support. A committee of parliament ferries its recommendation for plenary to take a decision.
Well, in the last hour, the Attorney General's office, they've been weighing in on this raging controversy. Listen to the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Tuyayeboah.
It's very clear that under our laws, you can be a dual citizen but still be a justice of the Supreme Court. At the Supreme Court, in April this year, delivered a judgment to that effect. So the nominee who came yesterday is qualified under our laws, notwithstanding the fact that he holds a Canadian citizenship. But for the judgment in April, he wouldn't have qualified to be a Supreme Court judge in Ghana.
There are still those who hold the view that the Supreme Court actually did this in anticipation of the fact that there may be an appointment of this nature in the near future.
I have no evidence to that effect. It may be by mere coincidence, and people may conjecture, but there's no evidence to that effect. So let's leave it for now.
What do you say to people who say that it will not be fair to make members of the judiciary have dual citizenship to sit at the court, but members of the legislature do not have a similar?
Then we have to look at our laws once again. If as a people we think that judges must also not hold dual citizenship, then the law, there was an existing law, that judgment has struck down that piece of legislation. So if we think we want to open it up for others to come into the fray, let's look at it. That's what I'm concerned. The status quo now is that if you are a dual citizen, you cannot sit in the House of Parliament as an MP. Until that provision is amended or repealed, we should go by that.
And I want to bring in Raina Mahama Yariga, a lawyer, member of parliament, is a member of the Appointments Committee, and one of those who raised the fundamental issues at the beginning that set the stage for the controversy that we saw play out at the committee level yesterday. Also joining me is Hassan Abdullah Idi, who's a ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, is an MPP MP for Salaga. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Mr. Yariga, I believe you're one of the 7 NDC MPs who voted to reject the nominations of these 2 judges, correct?
Yeah, good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners. Yeah, we participated in the vote, and our side voted en bloc against 2 nominees.
In your case, why did you vote against them?
Well, what I can tell you is that side took a decision to vote against the nominations. I can assure you that it has nothing to do with the qualification of the individual nominees. We did vet them. We asked them all the questions. They answered. I believe that many of their answers were satisfactory. There were answers that were clearly not satisfactory. But in the end, I think that our side, based on considerations that were very important to us, decided that we will not allow the nominations to go through in terms of our votes. You recall that our leader did raise the issue of the president trying very hard to pack the Supreme Court just at the time when he is exiting office. So we have a strong objection to President Akufo-Addo trying very hard to pack the Supreme Court. And we believe that it has some implications for the administration of justice going into the future at a time when he is not the president. So it was an issue that we had, and we don't believe that at this time Akufo-Addo should be back in the Supreme Court the way that he wants. Whatever we can do to resist him, we'll resist him. Unfortunately, these two people got entangled in that, and we regret that because it has nothing to do with their qualification or eligibility or competence. If you take the case of the lady nominee who has been a court of appeal judge, it would have been good to crown her career with Supreme Court appointment. And we believe that future government might look favorably at her.
Including a possible NDC government. You admitting then that the only reason why you rejected her and the other colleague is purely because of politics, partisan politics?
There's nothing wrong with that. We made it clear from the beginning that Akufo-Addo should be back in the court. And whatever we will do to resist him. That is an important consideration for us. Whether you call that partisan or you call that patriotic duty, where we believe that there should be opportunity for future governments to also fill in vacancies in the court so that there can be a fair balance in the administration of justice at the highest level. I don't know where in the world that it is not a consideration. Go to the U.S. and you see the Democrats and the Republicans fighting over appointments to the Supreme Court. The Republicans and the Democrats will fight.
But as we speak today, though, Ms. Ayerga, do you not agree that there's a need for more judges to the Supreme Court, considering the recent data that the Chief Justice put out, showing us all the constraints and the pressure on the system with a limited number of judges that you currently have there?
Well, that is why I argued in the beginning that we should have a legislation that sets out the upper ceiling. The essence of a legislation is that when you bring a proposal to Parliament regarding the number of judges, you will have to argue before us put your case in a memorandum, and we will argue, and then the data and the statistics of cases, the ratio of citizens to court, judges, and etc. would have been effectively discussed, and then there can be a national consensus around what number we should have, based on which you can then proceed to fill in the slots. But as of now, it is one person's word against the other. I can assure you that there are so many considerations. The Indians, like I said yesterday during the voting, have a legislation. They have 33 Supreme Court judges, but that's for a population of 1.4 billion people. We have just 33 million people. And the jurisdiction of the Indian Supreme Court is the same as the jurisdiction of the Ghanaian Supreme Court. So all those who keep saying, oh, you can't compare yourself to America where you have only 9 judges because it's not the same jurisdiction, then as they go to India, the same jurisdiction, 1.4 billion people have only 33 Supreme Court judges, 7 them. So.
Still, Ms. Ayerga, I want to bring in your colleague, Hassan Abdallah. He's a ranking member on the Judiciary Committee. Hassan, you just heard Mama Ayerga make the point about this is purely, yes, it doesn't deny the fact that it's purely on a political partisan basis, but fundamental accusation is that your party, the president, is packing the Supreme Court. Why is that happening? Do you agree that that is something that has been happening over the period? Hello, Hassan Abdullah. Okay, I may have lost him though on the line, but I still have with me Muhammad Yariga, who is on with me. Muhammad, so this will obviously come to the plenary. It's down to what the plenary does on this matter.
Yeah, precisely. So, like all other appointments, ours as a committee is to make a recommendation, then the plenary will decide. So, when we are reconvened as a parliament, I'm sure it will come up and then take a decision as a house.
From your side, you're going to vote en bloc again when it comes to the plenary, rejecting this?
I don't think we have met as a bloc to take a decision yet, but as a committee en bloc, we took a decision, and then we believe that our recommendations will guide our side when it comes to voting. So when the time comes, I'm sure you'll be around, and then you'll see what will happen.
You raised some constitutional issues at the beginning of the vetting yesterday. Are these constitutional issues ones that you still stand by?
Oh, yeah, sure. I definitely stand by them. I think that all presidents, including NDC and NPP presidents in the past, have been doing the wrong thing, basically, which is, arrogating to themselves the power to determine the number of judges that we should have at the apex court. I believe that even if they have the power to decide that, it has to pass through some legislative scrutiny. So they could either come through a constitutional instrument, which will be laid in Parliament, and then it will be there for 21 days, and then come into force as law, unless the MPs are opposed, and then they can mobilize 2/3 to reject the increment in the numbers. Or they bring an act of Parliament, a bill to Parliament, which could pass by a simple majority vote. So whichever way, I believe that that should be the procedure. And it is a procedure that is democratic, because then all sides get to debate the number. When we debate the number and then it has legislative approval, it gets more legitimacy, and then the concern that everybody is expressing about the numbers could be, addressed by the fact that the process has been democratic. The process of determining the numbers has been democratic, transparent, and argued publicly, case made, and then supported by the legislature. So I still stand by that, and unfortunately, to tell you the truth, I'm busy with my own parliamentary elections campaign. So otherwise, I would have initiated some litigation around the subject. But for now, I think that yesterday was a very useful forum to bring it up for national discussion. It's being discussed all over the place, and I think that it might give some guidance to presidents in the future in terms of how they will act.
Ms. Eriga, thank you very much. Hassan Abdullah Idi just rejoined me on the line right now. Ms. Idi, do you accept the accusation tonight that the president is simply parking the Supreme Court with these two nominees?
Thank you, my brother. Good evening. Hello, brother. Can you hear me?
I can hear, yes. You accept that accusation that we've just heard there from the NDC?
Okay. Thank you, and good evening to our cherished listeners. First of all, let me say that our current constitutional arrangement does not allow for us to cap the justices to the Supreme Court. If you refer to Articles 130, 131, 132, and 133 of our Constitution, they collectively exert more effort and a wider jurisdiction on the Supreme Court of Ghana. So if you want to compare the jurisdiction of our Supreme Court to other jurisdictions, let's limit ourselves to that of the UK and then the US, where our democracy is a hybridized one from these two jurisdictions. America has 9 justices to the Supreme Court. The jurisdiction of America, the Supreme Court of America, is very narrow to the extent that they have what they call the Judicial Conference. Annually, what they do is that they have this conference that they sit around to, as it were, look at all cases petitioned before them. They have the luxury to choose what case they would hear. Ghana Supreme Court, we don't have that luxury. And in America, they once you are a judge to the Supreme Court, you don't retire until you die. There are few conditions under which you cease to be a judge. Ghana, we don't have that luxury. If you look at Article 146 of the Constitution, Supreme Court judges or justices will retire at age 70. We don't have that in other jurisdictions. And that is why every now and then our Supreme Court is depleted. We need to refill it.
Yeah, I mean,
Honorable Ayerga made some profound.
He raised those issues, unfortunately, because of time. But I must ask you, though, briefly. Now it's come down to a vote, and from what we had there earlier at the committee level, there's a split there, and the decision is currently both sides taking an entrenched position. Either you're rejecting or accepting. It will have implications for when it comes to the plenary. How do you plan to proceed as far as this matter is concerned, to have these two nominees either considered in some way to meet the expectations for which the president brought them for consideration to Parliament?
So first of all, the committee does not have that capacity to take a full decision on it. Where we have reached is where our limit could take us. And so the decision lies in plenary, where we come and then we do a secret vote. And then the final decision is taken.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much. That's Hassan Abdallah there. ED is a ranking member on the Judiciary Committee. I want to hear from you on the 05511119997. Still ahead here on Newsnight.
Well, still ahead, Evans, minority on Parliament's Education Committee takes on the Education Ministry over its failure to shut colleges of education. A strike by its teachers enters day 64.
I don't think the minister will have that moral courage to close down the colleges of education.
The sector ministries urging restraint tonight in the face of calls for the closure of the colleges of education, as it insists it is working tirelessly to resolve the impasse.
I will appeal to the students to exercise restraint. We've engaged them till now and will continue to engage them.
And later in the bulletin, public health emergency as refrigerators at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue are unable to preserve bodies following power fluctuations. We will hear from relatives who are now compelled to transfer the bodies of their deceased.
I personally had a body there of an auntie, and realizing the current situation, we had to transfer the body from the place to a different mortuary.
We'll hear from the Mortuary Workers Association. Now, also later, Student Loan Trust Fund warns defaulters risk damaging their creditworthiness, which will deny them future assistance in the financial sector as it begins merging data with Credit Reference Bureau.
For those who refuse to pay, those who fail to pay, those who want to take advantage of the system, then the Credit Reference Bureau will come to bite them.
We will hear from employers because now they're being urged to ensure their employees owing the fund pay up or face legal action. And in business,
import inflation slowed significantly for the month of July despite cedi's depreciation over the past month.
And in sports, Ghana's Ibrahim Sulemana and Atalanta are confident of upsetting Real Madrid in the Super Cup final due to start in an hour.
And later, about 5,000 homes along Keita's coast will be swallowed by ravaging sea within the next 5 years if immediate action is not taken to protect the fast eroding coastline.
5,000 houses along the coast here will be gone in a matter of 5 years to come.
More as the residents there lament the dire impact of the rising sea levels on their livelihoods in the latest episode of Climate Focus here on Newsnight. My name is Evans Mensah.
I'm Fosira Safo.
We have details after this.
Everybody likes money, but what do we like more than money? More money! Join the Telecel More Money promo and win money, more money, and even more money. Simply opt in for free and reload your mobile and broadband and be the lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis grand prize. Also win cash prizes of up to 3 million Ghana cedis in the daily and weekly draw. Opt in for free by dialing *500# or send WIN to 500, or you can opt in on the Telecel Play app. The more you reload, the higher chances of winning in the Telecel More Money promo. Keep loading, win, and be a millionaire.
Telecel. Connecting energies.
Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me da na ma da with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
You're so live here on Newsnight. It's Enjoy 99.7 FM.
You can share your thoughts with us on our social media handles. We're Joy 99.7 FM. On WhatsApp with 055-111-1997. Well, tonight there is pressure on the Ministry of Education by the minority on Parliament's Education Committee to shut down the colleges of education. Students at various colleges have begun leaving for their homes as the strike by the college teachers enters its 64th day with no resolution in sight. Well, we know that last week the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana called on the principals of the colleges of education to close down the schools with barely 3 weeks left for the academic calendar to end. The students say they have no confidence in their teachers, and the fact that they will return anytime soon is not in sight. Take a listen to them.
Well, I think it makes sense because since our cries for the lecturers to return to the classroom hasn't been heard, we would want to go home because feeding on campus and not going to lectures is too much to bear. So we'd rather be at home. When they return, they will also come back.
Nobody is holding you to go home financially and...
Well, our parents mostly believe that when we're on campus, we study. So they actually put in efforts to help us sustain ourselves.
There are some of us that have left, a lot of them. For me, I like to study a lot, and I came with an aim to attain a first class, so I've decided to put it upon myself that I put in much effort. But it seems I'm also getting tired because of what is happening at the moment. Yeah, but most of my friends have left.
Well, we've been hearing from the ranking member on the Education Committee, Peter Nochukoto, who's asking government to address the concerns of the teachers as a matter of urgency to avoid disrupting the academic calendar.
And as a committee, we are finding it very difficult to have that moral courage again to talk to them that go back to the classroom as we did last year and they listen to us. So our position is pay them what is due them now and then let them go back. The migration can be taken care of after they have gone back to the classroom. So that is our position. But we are thinking of meeting them again next week.
But the Deputy Education Minister, John Intim-Fojo, is calling for restraint in the wake of calls for the closure of colleges of education.
Needs to be done to resolve the strike situation with SETAC members is underway. In fact, members of SETAC are some of the very important stakeholders we have in our education system. They are the ones who who train our teachers. And therefore they play a key role. We accord them utmost importance. And so we don't treat their matters lightly at all. We've had series of engagements. The strike has been protracted. However, we shall not relent in engaging the leadership of CITAC further until a resolution is reached. A resolution that will be acceptable to both parties and make them happy to come back to the classroom. But we are appealing. We will continue to appeal to CITAC members to come back to the classroom and offer their services. Their services are most essential. So we appeal with them. The ones we engage in them, they must return. We have further engaged Prinkoff, and they have indicated their commitment to ensuring that any distortions that may have occasioned in the academic calendar, they would partner us, and we're going to together find a way to straighten things up. And so we appeal to members of CITAC and the leadership of CITAC that their concerns, we are discussions with their leadership. They should come back, and certainly an amicable resolution will be reached.
So while you are talking to them to come back, like I'm saying, time is not on our side as well, because just September 7th, academic activities are coming to an end without anything taking place. Are the students right to call for a shutdown of the school?
I will appeal to the students to exercise restraint. We've engaged them till now, and we'll continue to engage them together with the members of CITAC. There will definitely be a resolution.
Before the end of the academic term?
There will definitely be a resolution for learning to continue.
So foresee the government will not shut down the schools, but there's an appeal there to CITAC to simply call off the strike. Will they heed that? Fidelis Kamai is the communications directorate of the CITAC. He works there, and a member of that committee joins us on the line right now. Fidelis, thanks for your time here on News Night. You've had the appeal there from the Deputy Minister. Is it something that you heed to? Say simply call off the strike, because there certainly will be a resolution.
Cherished listeners, I have heard what the Deputy Minister of Education has said. But the solution to this, our impasse, lies with the government, or let me say his sector ministry. So instead of pleading with us to go back to the classroom, they should do the needful, and we will willingly go back to the classroom.
The last time we spoke, you had 3 issues. 2 of them had been resolved. Is that still the case? You are waiting for the outstanding matter of the migration and the equitable treatment of your members. That's the same as you have with the university lecturers. Has that been resolved now?
It hasn't been resolved yet. We are still waiting for the migration to be done. Sometimes you will hear the Director General of GTEC telling you that they've started with the migration. It will end in September. When we first had a meeting with the Minister of Education, the roadmap he gave was that by 26th of August, the migration would have been done. But as we speak, we have no evidence to ascertain what they are telling us. When the GTEC director also went to another school, he said that the migration will be done by end of October. So they keep on shifting different dates. So it makes it very difficult for one to believe or trust the information they are giving us. We expect that they invite us as part of the monitoring team to look at exactly what is happening, because that was the agreement we had with the minister. He said that he's going to constitute a monitoring team so that every week, when they are done with the migration of a particular number of tutors, we'll go look at the gray areas or the challenges that have encountered, and then they will give them the go-ahead to proceed to the following week's migration. But as we speak, it's about 3 weeks since that exercise started, but we are not involved in any of those. So it's very difficult for us to believe what is happening.
Fidelis, but government has met 2 of your demands out of 3. It means they've met you halfway. Why don't you return to the classroom with barely 3 weeks to the end of the academic calendar?
The ones they claim they have been met are not the ones we are even more interested in. For example, if you look at the top up bra, how much was it? 1,000 cedis. So if you freeze my salary, which is more than the 1,000 cedis, and you give me 1,000 cedis, what are you expecting me to do or say? So they need to do the rightful one. That's the migration and the arrest. Those are the issues, the important issues.
Well, Fidelis, thank you very much. And so clearly, they are not in the position just yet to call off the strike. I want to bring in Dr. Clement Park, who's a deputy ranking member on the Education Committee. He's listening into this conversation. We had Dr. Park from the Deputy Education Minister. They don't plan to close down the schools, but he's also making the point that he's simply appealing where we stand right now. I know you were trying at some point to try and intervene and mediate. What has happened to that process?
Well, Ivan, let me say good evening to you and good evening to our cherished listeners. And I say good evening to my constituents in Buta South. Ivan, this impasse has dragged on for 64 days today, largely because of government's inability to meet its obligation, as the members of CTAC have rightly indicated. The resolution of this matter lies in the bosom of government. Do the needful by ensuring that the commitments that you have made, that we are all aware of, you meet them. Let the migration commence. Let them know what is going on. And indeed, also pay them their outstanding allowances. If government were to be mindful and to take the needed action, this matter would have been resolved. Even 64 days of a strike. Students in our colleges of education have been in school without any tutoring.
And you want a shutdown because of that?
They are feeding themselves and they are also exposed to danger.
Yeah, Clement, I've heard you say that because of that, 64 days and counting, this is no longer tenable to continue with the academic calendar as you have it, and you want a shutdown?
Well, that would make sense, and that is what the students are asking for.
The education minister just explained that, yes, they've heard that, but they rather appeal because that closure it's not one that is in the interest of the education of those children. What is it that your committee plans to do about this at this moment?
Well, as the ranking member indicated, we have made several interventions. Last year, we made an intervention. This year, when the matter came up, we made an intervention. We brought the ministers for education and employment and labor to Parliament. There was a committee of the whole. They indicated to us in Parliament the steps they were going to take. We had even planned to meet, quote unquote, the feuding parties. And then we got wind that the minister had called them for a meeting. And after that meeting, it was our hope that the matter will be resolved. Well, almost a month down the line, we are where we are. And from the position of CTAC, as eloquently presented by their representative, it doesn't look like this matter will be resolved even in the next 2 weeks. So are we going to continue to keep the students all this time, exposing them to danger and also the financial burden that they will have to endure? So I think we ought to do the needful by letting the students go home. Besides that, government has the alternative in doing the needful by resolving the matter as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clement Park there. Dr. Samuel Atintonu is the president of the Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, also joins us. And Dr. Atintonu, when we last spoke, this last subject of the migration to pave way for the equitable treatment of the teachers at the colleges was one that you said was about to begin. I think you said at the end of July. Has it started?
Good evening to you and your cherished listeners, and to all the 46 principals of colleges of education, including myself. And let me also extend a good evening to my good brother, Honorable Clement Park, and the CTAC rep, who happens to be Fidelis from Accra College of Education, and to everybody who's listening to this program. First of all, I think the principals are very much concerned about the students being around and not being taught for close to 2 months now. But when the strike started, there were some engagements. So we need to understand that in the context. And there's no principal who is not actually interested in the welfare of our tutors as well as of the students. I mean, we are there as managers of the colleges because of the students as well as our staff. When they are disgruntled, definitely they can't do any work. So we took the matter very serious with government. Of course, we are the immediate employer, so we are part of the problem.
Well, Dr. Tintono, clearly, I mean, I know you did what you did at the beginning. It's 64
Yeah. So
days now.
what I'm saying is, I'm coming to the point. Allow me to speak, if you wouldn't mind. So you asked the question whether the migration has started. Yes, it started on July 29th. Remember, on the July 24th, we engaged with CETAC, and we came out with an MOA, which clearly spelled out roadmap. One was that the top-up book and research allowance to be paid by August 9th. That has happened by last week. A few colleges have some issues which have not been paid. That I knew, but as of today, there were 10 colleges that they listed that they have not been paid. And I know the issue that they have. We processed it on GitMix, and there were some challenges which we are talking to Controller to resolve them. Some of them, the money is with Minister of Finance, which will also be paid. Fidelis, who spoke, is from Accra College of Education. He can confirm that he received his money last week. Now, the main issue had to do with the migration of the staff to the universities that were affiliated to 5 universities: UG, UW, KNUST, UDS, and then UCC. They started with the UCC College of Education. There are 14 colleges that are affiliated with that. By last week, Friday, they had completed the migration of the staff, and we have been served with a letter to meet the migration team, which is spearheaded by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the GTEC, Minister of Finance, Minister of Education. Per the arrangement, if you look at the MOA that we signed, the CITAC, SENSAC, and PRINCOF are to meet the team for interaction, for them to give us a report to know how it has been done and look at some of the challenges that are there. So tomorrow, they have been invited, or we have been invited to meet the team. So we are meeting them tomorrow at 10 a.m.
When will the migration end? When will you complete it? What's your
Of
estimate?
course, there are 46 colleges, and there are 5 universities that we are affiliated to. So per the roadmap, by the end of August, they should have completed that. We'll meet them tomorrow and find out whether that deadline is something that's attainable or they may need some extension.
64
But my
days.
understanding per the agreement is that by August ending, these exercises have been completed.
64 days with no teachers in the classroom. Isn't it time
Yes.
to shut down the colleges?
I mean, I think last week, let me also explain that when the strike happened, there were some engagement. Remember, they went on strike because of NLC awards. NLC, if the government failed to implement, which delayed, then it is NLC who have to go to court to trigger or force government to do the implementation. Unfortunately, I think when we're engaging with NLC, they have asked CITAC to call off the strike to pave way for them to go to court for government to enforce whatever the ruling had been. CITAC refused. So one of the things that complicated the matter, and I'm happy Parliament, there's a Parliament Select Committee on Education, also intervened. But CITAC have to sort of have compromise.
Well, they said they won't compromise. They
When
said
you
it
are
tonight.
in a negotiation, per the Labour Act that they are referring to, it says clearly, if you are negotiating, then one party cannot twist the other party's arm.
Yeah, Dr.
So
Tintono-
being on strike is not something that's helpful to the whole process.
Yeah, they've heard you, but tonight they've repeated they're not going to call off the strike. Question is, with 64 days and counting, with only 3 weeks for that academic calendar to end, is it still tenable to pretend that the economic activity can actually go on?
I don't want to hear that we pretend. We don't pretend.
But there's nothing happening.
Part of this, the problem, the issue what happened, when they were on strike, our students go on what we call a practical teaching activity. It took us 6 weeks. They need 6 weeks to do that. So when they were not teaching, 6 weeks of what we are talking about, the students were on the field doing what we call clinical activity, which is a critical component of it, STS. The teachers know that. The students know that. So it's not entirely the case that the entire 64 was wasted.
So you won't shut down the schools with 3 weeks to go?
We're engaging. I think where we have gotten to, tomorrow there's an engagement with them, and they know about that one at another level. Today we had a meeting, and CITAC itself are coming tomorrow for us to meet.
Thank you very much. Dr. Samuel Atintola there is the president of the Conference on Principals of Colleges of Education, PRINCOF there. And let's stay with matters relating to education. Do you owe And there's a big question, Fosti. Do you owe the student loan trust?
At this point, I'm glad I don't.
Okay.
Because they are warning that if you defaulted on your student loan payments, then be aware that this may affect your ability to access loans from banks and other financial institutions in the future. The Student Loan Trust Fund has synchronized its data with the Credit Reference Bureau, which will impact individual credit ratings, Evans. Now, as a result, defaulters may face challenges assessing financial facility in the future due to a compromised credit score system. Now, Rosemary Ai, she's head of repayment and resource mobilization at the Student Loan Trust Fund. She's urging defaulters to pay up, else they would fail to redeem their credibility.
So that you have a good credit score that will translate into, if you want to access a bank loan, a car loan, a mortgage facility, then you already have established a good credit score for yourself. So the Credit Reference Bureau in itself is not a disadvantage at all. But for those who refuse to pay, those who fail to pay, those who want to take advantage of the system, then the Credit Reference Bureau will come to bite them. Definitely, when the Credit Reference Bureau activities are strengthened and it begins to do its job fully as it is intended, of course, we will get a lot more people paying back their loans. And so it is in your interest to actually pay and start paying. The good thing about student loan is that you don't need a lump sum, big chunk of money to pay your loan. With as little as 100 cedis, 150 cedis a month, 200 cedis a month, you can consistently be paying your loan and be building a good credit score. And so there are some misconceptions out there with students. Some will tell you, I do not work and so I cannot pay my loan. But when you look at the phone credit consumption of people who claim that they do not work, sometimes it goes beyond 200 cedis a month. So seriously speaking, if you want to pay your loans, we believe that you can. It is just, positioning yourself mentally and being a good citizen and paying off your loan.
Evans, employers have also been urged to comply with the legal obligations of ensuring their employees who are beneficiaries repay their loans or risk legal action.
The law, if you do not do it, it means that you are breaching. And yes, so you are culpable. And as we speak, we actually have some employers that we have moved up the notch with their non-compliance. We have very flexible engagement.
What exactly do you mean? Are you legally taking them on? Are they in court for prosecution? What exactly do you mean?
Yes, we've moved up the notch because yes, after all the engagement and interactions where they fail to comply, then we bring in the police, which is part of the legal compliance process. So yes, we have some employers that are responding to invitations from the forensics unit of the Ghana Police Service in respect of student loan non-compliance. We would want to add again that in the Act there is a senior loan provision. The senior loan provision makes student loan the most senior loan apart from statutory deductions. And so any borrower or any staff, any person who takes a loan, the student loan needs to be deducted after the SNIT deductions and after PAYE and any other statutory. Student loan is the next one that employers need to deduct and pay to us.
Yes, so live, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take you to Keta now, where that ancient town faces an existential environmental crisis. As a national disaster management organization, NADMO warns that 5,000 homes along the coast of Keta could be lost to the sea within 5 years if urgent action is not taken to protect the rapidly eroding shoreline, while Ghana's coastline is projected to witness a significant sea level rise of up to 1 meter by 2021 to 100, really. That's a long time away. Environmentalists highlight that Keta's coast is eroding at an African leading rate of 2.2 meters per year due to climate change. In part one of our climate-focused Vanishing Shores, Joy News' Carlos Caloni highlights the devastating impact of the rising ocean levels on the lives and livelihoods of Keta's perplexed residents.
A 2017 World Bank's report highlights that coastal dwellers in Ghana face significant threat from the rising sea levels, projected to increase by 0.3 to 1 meter by 2100. This will lead to increased flooding and coastal erosion, which will jeopardize homes, infrastructure, and livelihoods, particularly in fishing communities where over 2 million people are at risk. Keta is no exception. In 2021, the National Disaster Management Organization reported that 200 plus homes were destroyed by these high tides in the Keta municipality alone, which rendered about 4,000 residents displaced.
We have a lot of the house here still come to spoil, and the summer house too still come to spoil. They have a lot of about 150 house we go on the sea inside.
This is my house, but the sea spoil my canoe, my everything, my 3 bedrooms, everything spoiled. But right now I sleep for outside.
The municipal NADMO director, God knows, Blebu, tells me 2/3 of the main Keta town now has already been swallowed by the sea.
239 houses for now are affected. Some are partially collapsed, some are entirely gone, and those people living in those houses now, some left the town, some are living with their other family members, some are still living in their dilapidated houses because they have no place to go. The main Keta Central, about 2/3 is in the sea. If nothing is being done, I'm afraid about 4,000-5,000 houses along the coast here will be gone. In a matter of 5 years to come, all those houses will be gone.
Here is Michael Bumegbe, the chief fisherman of the Keji Copper community.
2021 In 2021, tidal waves destroyed many things, including 16 boats, fishing gears, and outboard motors. A boat this size cost about 200,000 cedis. This situation is negatively impacting our fishing business as our catch has drastically dwindled.
So the devastating impact of the rising levels of the sea is biting hard on residents here in Keta. Reporting from Keta in the Volta region, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Carlos Caloni there with part 1 of our climate focus titled Vanishing Shores. Up next is Business. George Rafi joins me in the studio. George, what's happening?
Well, coming up in business, import inflation slows significantly for the month of July, despite cedi's depreciation over the past month. An Institute of Fiscal Studies describes Ghana's economy as very weak and fragile, despite recent signs of recovery. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
We have a new leader in town. Obiarenti. Amafo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal packed with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Join us on this exciting journey as the next chapter begins on Sunday, 18th August 2024, under the distinguished patronage of the chairman of the New Patriotic Party, the flag bearer and presidential candidate, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and his running mate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. The NPP unveils the bold solutions to today's challenges. Tune in to your favorite TV channel and radio station and join us as we show the path to a brighter tomorrow. All roads lead to Secondary Takoradi on Sunday, August 18th at 1 p.m.
The luckiest
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah.
Welcome and now for a daily star 712 hash and found no regrets. A side comma investors are a striking gold. A comma health workers are a diagnosing luck with precision. A side comma that tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. Say a comma passionate fan on also entering containing a joy. After to the seamstresser or turning a hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now a comma if you say your next big win is right here.
Star 712 hash. Luck is everywhere.
Dial star 712 hash and join the luckiest winning celebration. From the 1st of July 2024, dial star 712 hash to keep buying tickets as a group, individual, or even as a community. Win loads of cash and prizes in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Join the winning streak now.
The luckiest
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, inflation for imported items for last month witnessed some significant reduction. Now, this is despite the Ghana cedi recording some serious depreciation in May and June this year. There is more in the following report.
These numbers were captured in the Ghana Statistical Service data covering inflation numbers for the month of July. Inflation normally is a measurement of past events. Therefore, it was the expectation challenges with the Ghana cedi in the month of May and June should have impacted on prices. However, based on the Ghana Statistical Services data, import inflation dropped from 17.5% to 15.6%. This has been described as interesting by some market watchers. Another development that has also been described as interesting is the food inflation bet that has also gone down by a higher margin. When you look at it from July last year to July 2024, and even on the month-on-month level, Garden X posted the highest increase in prices compared to its situation last year. However, when you look at local inflation, the trend is going up. Meanwhile, the 20.9% inflation rate posted for July 2024 was the lowest the country has recorded over the past 3 years. It is also the third decline since January 2024.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni has maintained that we should not forget about the impact of the base year effect and how that has impacted on the current consumer price index for July 2024.
It's always important to have clarity in our minds, the connection between the year-on-year and the month-on-month. As you rightly said, the year-on-year food inflation has dropped by 2.5 percentage points from 24.0 to 21.5 for July 2020. Inflation in the last 3 months is largely attributed to the base effect. Then going forward, if there is nothing like base effect, given what happened last year, then definitely one has to be concerned. It means the current happenings on the market is what is going to drive the rate of inflation between now and December.
And that is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna-Enin. Now, the Institute of Fiscal Studies has criticized Ghana's or is worried about Ghana's economy, describing it as weak and fragile, despite improvement seen in some key economic indicators. Speaking at the press briefing on the mid-year budget review, senior fellow at the Institute, Dr. Said Boache, stressed the importance of achieving a single-digit inflation despite the recent slowdown.
The Ghanaian economy remains very weak and fragile as the macroeconomy remains highly unstable, leading to far below par economic growth rate. For instance, although inflation rate reduced from the astronomical rate of 54.1% in December 2022, from the rates recorded from April 2022 onwards, the inflation rate of 22.8% is still the highest in Ghana since January 2004. July inflation rate of 20.9%. That is still the worst since January 2004.
Dr. Said Boache is a senior fellow at the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Ghana. So what areas should government focus in bringing inflation down further to hit the end of year targets? Let's listen to Professor Patrick Sumi. He is an economist.
So when you look at the more disaggregated numbers, you begin to see housing, utilities, the prices have inched up a little bit. And then the fact that inflation of domestically produced items are still higher. All of those hints at rising cost of production. And in spite of the fact that we say food prices, or there's been a much bigger reduction in food inflation, there are some big ticket items that have seen actually, whose prices are still quite high. So you hope that as we've entering the harvesting season, things will come down a little bit.
Economist Professor Patrick Esumi. Now, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Michael Ochibefi, is calling for the inclusion of sales and marketing structures in the operations of public sector institutions. He was speaking to Joy Business after the opening of the ceremony for a 2-day National Sales and Leadership Conference, which seeks to provide the platform for sales and marketing and business development in the country.
The whole world has become very competitive, and therefore there's a need for us as even public sector operators to see the need to embrace sales so that we'll be able to change the status quo. I mean, we have to shift the paradigm from the normal way of doing things to now do it professionally and add a little taste of sales and marketing in the way we operate. That will bring us more, as a country, because if we want to position ourselves so that we're able to attract very good investments to the country, especially attract very good foreign direct investment, that will come with huge and phenomenal, cash. Then we need to position ourselves well.
Michael Ochibefi is the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, and the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has stated that it will intensify efforts to directly support local businesses in the wake of external and internal economic challenges. President of the Chamber, Clement Oseamako, tells Joy Business his outfit will continue to perform its role in promoting and protecting the interest of the private sector.
with this magnificent building. It's a symbol of our existence. If somebody wants to come to your house, come to you, he wants to know where you live. I think that is significant even with our cultural practices to be shown your existence. And today, we are blessed having our own building. We've been renting over the years, paying some huge sums of money, for which we thought that it's not helped our existence. And so it was the view of the new executive to continue with what our past leaders have started, to make sure that we get where we are seated, and so that when we have visitors across the globe, they really know that we exist.
And President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei-Amoako, speaking at the inauguration of its new national secretariat here in Accra. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
And Joe, thank you very, very much. This is your election headquarters. We'll be taking you onto the campaign trail pretty shortly with details of what's been happening today, some major controversies there for us to pay attention to. Right after sports with Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, let's start from the CAF Women's Champions League qualifiers taking place in Ivory Coast. And Ghana's Azaka's ladies played their second game today and they lost to Nigeria's Edo Queens by 3-0. This follows their goalless draw against Burkina Faso's Omni Sports Etincelle. Well, their next game is going to be against AS Garde National, and we'll be hoping to pick maximum points in that game to guarantee a chance of qualifying out of the group as one of the two best teams and hopefully go all the way and qualify for the main competition. Now to Alan Tremonti now, and he has criticized the government approach to sports development, calling it wrong. Well, Ghana has indeed struggled to make impact at various sports competitions in recent years, a situation often attributed to financial constraint. Speaking at a media event earlier today, Alan pledged to place the private sector in charge of sports to accelerate future successes.
Government has the wrong approach, has the wrong business model with sports. If government thinks that they can use government budget to develop sports, it ain't gonna happen. That is why if you read through the sports section, it's all about government empowering the private sector to establish sports academies and sports infrastructure and facilities of the highest standard. If a private person is investing, he will make sure that he does it very well and he will maintain them.
Alan Sherman, the independent candidate there. Well, Evans was just some 50 minutes away from the start of the UEFA Super Cup final between Real Madrid and Atalanta. There's a Ghanaian player in the Atalanta side. Ibrahim Suleiman is a defensive midfielder. He's on the bench for Atalanta. And, well, the team itself, Atalanta, they are looking to upset Real Madrid tonight. Ademola Lookman was the man who distinguished himself in that Europa final against Leverkusen, scoring a hat-trick. The big question is, will he deliver same tonight? Listen to him.
It's a top team for top players who are ready at any moment, you know. I don't think there's any best time to play Real Madrid. I think we've been focused on us as a team and what we can do in terms of our game and how we can put our effect on the game. So, you know, obviously they have their powers and, you know, they have their dangers. But like I said, we also have quality, so they're going to have to stop us in that sense also. So, yeah.
Demola Lukman, the Nigerian forward there. Well, Evans, just look at this Real Madrid attack. Just look at it. Kylian Mbappe is leading the line.
Scary.
Rodrigo is there. Vinicius is there. Look at the midfield. Jude Bellingham, Chouameni, Valverde, Ferland Mendy, Militao, Rudiger, Cavallal. And the big question is, can Atalanta stop this team?
Well, we'll see. You know, football sometimes can confound you.
Yeah, it can.
We'll see what happens. I really like the underdog story, so I'm rooting for them.
Real Madrid, underdogs and Real Madrid, yeah, they don't forgive like that. Anyway, we'll see.
They really don't. This is your election headquarters.
Coming up
And your lecture headquarters is always brought to you by Procedural, clean fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICPA and CIMA. together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development.
Well, Evans, let's start with the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. He says the president, his vice, and the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, are the ones from whom Ghanaians demand an apology for the economic crisis, and not the current finance minister, Mohamed Amin Adam. We know that recently Dr. Amin Adam apologized to Ghanaians for the hardship caused by the domestic debt exchange program. However, Mahama argues that he is not the right person to apologize. Speaking during his tour of the Volta region, he labeled the yet-to-be-launched manifesto of the governing NPP as a manifesto of lies, accusing the party of continuous deceit. Marcus Agwagwa has more in this report.
Number 1, Nana Akufo-Addo. Jack Toronto. Number 2, the one who must apologize, is the head of the solid economic management team, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Masol Alagba joins us on the line right now. Masol, a lot of shades being thrown on this campaign platform. Did the former president provide any evidence to back the claims he's been making against both the president, the finance minister, but also I know today that he's also been laying into the running mate to Dr. Bawumia? Hello, Maxwell.
Yeah, hello, Evans.
Yes. I was asking you about what has been happening on the campaign trail tonight with John Dramani Mahama. A lot of accusations. Has he been providing any evidence to back that?
Well, he has been making the claim in most of the constituencies that we visited today. He first started at the Ho Asigame and then later moved to the Hohoi Zongo community and then the Biwegbe roundabout. And then now he's in the North Dai constituency, and then later we move into the South Dai constituency. Well, the claim about the Dachi bonds came about when he was interacting with students at the Ho Technical University. And he said that the Dachi bonds was spearheaded by the education minister, and it was to gather funds to complete projects that were uncompleted in some of Ghana's educational institutions. But he says the purpose for which the monies were collected have not been used, and that the next NDC government, if a future NDC government is elected, it will ensure that the people who he says misappropriated the funds account, for it. He just arrived here in the North Dai constituency, but earlier in the Hohoi constituency, he's been speaking and making allusions to the biblical shepherd, and he says that the Hohoi constituency is the only seat in the Volta region that the NPP has. And he's been urging the people to vote massively for the NDC so the NDC can take back that seat from John Pitameru.
And the point about the Dachi bonds, though, he was very categorical, mentioning Dr. Matupoku Prempeh by name.
We all know why we lost the parliamentary. And I'm asking people to search their consciences, because it's not the sustainable way. NDC can also say, we won't do any development. We won't extend electricity. We won't build schools. We won't do hospitals. We won't bring water. We won't do the roads. We will keep the money. Bawumia has his own cross to carry. He himself, that running mate, has questions to answer. Revolution.
And what has been the reaction to him, though, on the ground, Maxwell?
Well, some of the students we have been interacting with here in the Volta region are quite excited about that, because they say that the GetFund, they think, is not really living up to the purpose for which it was created. They feel that now their future has actually been mortgaged, and if the NDC flag bearer is promising this, then they think that he's the man that they would want to go with. So that claim during that interaction with the students at the Ho Technical University received a loud applause from the audience, who were largely student servants.
So thank you very much. And that Maxwell is on the campaign trail with John Dramani Mahama on the specific issues about the Dachi bond, though. We've just been joined by Fifi Boafo, who's a spokesperson to Dr. Matupoku Prempeh. We'll hear him pretty shortly. The Mahama placed it in context. Listen.
Revo, revo,
Revolution.
The NDC flag bearer visited 4 constituencies on the first day of his tour of the Volta region. Speaking later in the evening at a youth forum at the Whole Technical University, he said the cost of paying academic facility user fees for level 100 first-year university students is estimated to be between 270 and 290 million Ghana cedis.
The president, a few years ago, his travel budget for traveling in 9 months amounted to 69 million Ghana cedis. They held one cabinet retreat at the presidency, one cabinet retreat. You know how much it cost? It cost almost 5 million Ghana cedis. There is so much waste in the system. And even if you look at the Office of President budget alone, you'll be able to cut to raise enough money to pay fees, academic facility user fees, for all level 100 students.
He says the NPP running mate and former Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has questions to answer on the Dachi bond, saying that persons who played any dubious roles will be made to account.
This person, who is the running mate to Baumia, was the Minister of Education. He brought a bond to Parliament called the Dachi bond. It has led to a collateralization of the GetFund. So this year, total receipts from the GetFund should amount to about 7 billion cedis. About 4 billion of that was taken in the Dachi bond by Napo and his Ministry of Education. Tell me, what was that money used for? The projects that they said they were coming to fast track and finish are still standing there.
And Fifi Bafo is on the line. Fifi, you've heard the accusations against the man you speak for, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Your reaction?
It's a welcoming news for anyone to say that there's a need for Dr. Opoku Prempeh to account for his stewardship as the education minister. Most importantly, the fact that he said as education minister, and the NDC running mate, Professor Jenan Opoku Ajiman, also served as education minister, and that track record is something that is there for everyone to attest to. But most importantly, to the question he raised about what the Dachi bond was used for. Project 3001 project from 2017 to date has been completed, and this includes 1,561 basic schools, 1,267 SHS schools, E-Block 16 TVET centers, 2 tertiary institution facilities, 153 model schools, 2. And among them includes legacy project, obviously, 1,827 basic schools, 1,007, SHS 662, E-Block 16, tertiary institutions 142, new project 1,174, including 554 basic schools, SHS 605, tertiary institutions 11, TVET 2, model schools. Of course, there are new projects that were also started or projects that are ongoing. 9 model schools under construction at the moment. So the former president is not aware of all these. I'm talking about over 3,000 projects that have been completed, and he says they are at a standstill. Obviously, he didn't get his briefing right.
No, but he raises questions about how monies were spent, for which reason we've seen the significant depreciation in the Dachi bonds.
Specifically, I'm sorry, how were the money spent, which he has issues with? He only said that, well, he has questions to answer. Specifically, what did he do wrong, based on which he wants him to answer. If he should come out today to say that he did A, B, C, D, Dr. Prempeh will be very much prepared to answer those questions. But to answer the question about what the money has been used for, I am telling you, I'm reporting today that over 3,000 projects have been completed. And he says what the projects have not been done. These are facts that can be verified.
You talked about verifying those projects. You ready to put out the details for us to do a proper fact-checking of them?
Very much so. We are more than prepared. And you see, it is not just these projects I've talked about. There were supplies as well. Apart from these projects that have been completed, there were supplies. In fact, 2,718 vehicles, 1,500 motorbikes, a total of number of 677,470 furniture items that have been distributed to basic and senior high schools. These can't be verified. Indeed, support has been given through GetFund for teacher provision of laptops to teachers. And former President Mahama says, well, the money has not been used judiciously.
We'll come for the document that verifies these for us to do our cross-checking on this.
But Evans, the most important point to make is that we are ever prepared to discuss the record of Dr. Prempe at the Ministry of Education. Can they present the record of Professor Jinano Pukwajima at the Ministry of Education?
But as far as this matter is concerned, though, you're ready to hand the evidence to us?
We are very much prepared. GetFund will get you all the details, but we can surely prove them out and let you have it. But I'm saying that over 3,000 projects have been completed. How many projects did they complete under the stewardship of the NDC? Education Minister.
And that day, Fifi Boafo speaks for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe. We'll get a copy of the evidence he says he has, and we'll be fact-checking those indeed for you as part of our responsibility, your election headquarters. Indeed. And there's a very interesting story, though.
Evans, it's time to go to church.
Let's do so.
Because a Catholic priest is also the acting rector of St. Stephen Rectorate in Bodumasi in the Ashanti region, Reverend Father Peter Chumesi, finds himself in hot waters after leading his flock in a spirited rendition of King Paluta's high life hit song, Asida, during church service. We'll tell you why, but listen to this.
In the background there, leading the church, singing that very popular song. And so, so what's the issue?
Well, unfortunately, this is not going well with the Catholic community. In fact, there's been mixed reaction on social media, forcing Father Chumesi to admit he got carried away and render an unqualified apology. My colleague joins me in the studio with a copy of that. Papani, tell us, what does it say?
So I'll give you just a sentence. It says, well, I let my guard down and allowed a secular influence to enter our sacred space. I realize now that my mistake has caused offense and confusion, and for that, I am truly sorry.
Will we accept that apology, Evans?
Well, I'm pretty sure it didn't direct it at me. So, I mean, if you think it was directed at you, then you have to decide whether you accepted an apology or not. But the season is here, is it not? And so when you sing the song, I think there must be something about this, because you see on the campaign platform, the particular presidential candidate uses the song a lot.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
There's something about the song, though.
And then there is the secular bit. There's a lady who sings in church, and I want to.
And she's in the studio.
I want to bring her into the conversation.
Tell us. Why are you putting me on the spot?
But it's an interesting point, is it not?
No,
they have the priest apologizing for singing a song that and if I want to hear, I'm like, but that song is actually, listen to it, it sounds a bit more gospel than anything else.
So what's your question to me, though?
The question is, do you find anything wrong? Because I know you sing in church. If would you sing this in your church?
I mean, if I was led to.
Yes.
Yes. The thing is, if I was led to. The thing is that the lyrics of the song are not, they're not vulgar, and it says it's asida, it's giving thanks, it's saying that God has blessed us and it has pained you. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes we make a big deal about things that are not really a big deal. Like, what would Jesus do? Would he really, really be angry, that people are singing?
For him to apologize, he may have felt the pressure.
I'm sure there was pressure, but you know how Christians do, a lot of pressure here and there. So, yeah.
Anyway, talking about that, what are you discussing tonight?
So let me ask you a question, Evans. If you had a lot of money, like you were wealthy, rich, and you were looking for a wife, would you hide, in this present day Ghana, would you hide how much money you had in your quest for a wife, or would you be upfront and loud about how much money you had?
I would definitely hide.
Why would you hide?
Of course, you have to love me for me and not my money. Sometimes money can get in the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to take that away.
Well, that's the conversation we're having. When you're looking for love, how much of a role does having money play in finding a genuine partner?
Interesting conversation.
Yep. So join us. Yes.
Okay.
But what happened to honesty? I want to know how much you have, Evans.
You find out later.
Why does it matter?
It does.
Why?
I can help plan your finances as a good wife.
I asked for your help.
Well, you need my help.
I don't. If I had a lot of money and I made it without you,
Well,
then obviously I don't.
Well,
need
the debate goes on. We have to listen.
Is live shortly. You want to stay with Nimwa and the squad on Strong and Sassy. Enjoy the rest of the evening.